Sudhi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirviseshasha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam today from Canto 3, Chapter 4. We are on text 31, where Uddhav was asking Vidura to go meet Maitreya Muni. And so we are in that place. Nodhavo anva api manunyo yad kuner nardita prabhu ato mad vayunam lokam grayan ihatisthatu. Uddhav is not inferior to me. We read this though. Text 31 we read. Yeah. So we'll go to the next verse. Text 32. Evam triloka guruna sandishta shabda yonina badryashramam ashadya harim ije samadhina. Sukadev Goswami informed the king that Uddhav, being thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage site of Badrikashram and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Lord Sri Krishna is factually the spiritual master of the three worlds, and He is the original source of all Vedic knowledge. So, where does the Vedas come from? They're spoken by Krishna. So that's the reason they are auporeshya, not spoken by any mundane person. They're spoken by the Supreme Lord Himself. And so the Vedas are beyond any mistakes. There is no mistake over there in the Vedic knowledge. Because Krishna is perfect, so His knowledge is perfect. And so that's how Krishna is the original spiritual master. Because He's the one who's giving the knowledge originally, the first person to give knowledge. It is very difficult, however, to understand the personal feature of the Absolute Truth, even from the Vedas. His personal instructions are needed in order to understand the personality of Godhead as the Supreme Absolute Truth. So in the Vedas, the process that is described there is not very direct. It goes from Karma Kanda to Jnana Kanda, So it's like the gradual elevation of the soul. engaging them in pious activities, engaging them in demigod worship, and then after then they'll realize, oh, there's something higher than that. So then they want to get knowledge. Then, oh, there's something higher than that. Oh, then there is Paramatma realization, and then they reach to bhakti. So it is not a direct process. And so if we want to understand Krishna, the absolute truth, the supreme person, we have to understand it from him, his personal instructions. Bhagavad Gita is the evidence of such transcendental knowledge in jest. One cannot know the Supreme Lord unless one is graced by the Lord himself. Lord Krishna exhibited this specific mercy towards Arjuna and Uddhav while he was in the material world. So we can know Krishna from himself or his pure devotees, like Brahmaji, Uddhav, Arjuna, because Krishna has spoken about himself to them. He's shown to them his supremacy, his universal form, his Shyam Sundar form, his Narayan form. So they understand him. And so if we want to understand the Lord, we have to accept the instructions that he's given in Bhagavad Gita. If somebody wants to know, for example, if somebody wants to know what is my favorite dish, and then what is my favorite dessert, and then everybody starts speculating, oh, maybe it is this, maybe it is that, maybe it is cake, maybe it's ice cream, maybe it is Shrikand, maybe, but then is it correct? No, I might say, no, my favorite dessert is, I don't know, gulab jamun, for example, you know? So if somebody wants to know me, they should ask me directly instead of speculating. Similarly, if we want to know Krishna in truth, we need to hear from him directly. And how can we hear from him directly? He has left the instructions for us in Bhagavad Gita. And his devotees are speaking time and again about it. In Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Brahma Samhita, we have so many scriptures. Undoubtedly, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to encourage Arjuna to fight, and yet to complete the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructed Uddhav. The Lord wanted Uddhav to fulfill his mission and disseminate knowledge which he had not spoken even in Bhagavad Gita. Persons who are attached to the words of the Vedas may also know from this verse that the Lord is the source of all Vedic knowledge. So all the Vedas that are there, who has spoken it? It's Krishna who's spoken. Because somebody might say, oh no, in this Puran it is mentioned like this, or in this way that this is said like that. But then who has spoken this original knowledge? It's all spoken by Krishna. That is accepted by everyone. So one who is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by going through the pages of the Vedas may take shelter of one of the Lord's devotees, such as Uddhav, in order to advance further in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Uddhav Gita, the teachings that Lord Krishna gives to Uddhav, is more detailed described in the 11th canto. We will be hearing that when we come to the 11th canto. The Brahma Samhita says that it is very difficult to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedas, but he is easily understood from a pure devotee like Uddhav. Taking mercy on the great sages who lived at Badrikashram, the Lord authorized Uddhav to speak on his behalf. Unless one has such authorization, one cannot understand or preach the devotional service of the Lord. So if we want to learn any subject matter, if we go by the textbook by ourselves and try to understand, our understanding will not be so complete. But if we get the understanding, we train under a teacher who's complete in that knowledge, we will become expert in that field. It could be in any field, anything. It could be, music, it could be art, it could be any field. Then if we are training under a person who is expert in that field, then we become expert. Similarly, if we want to understand spiritual knowledge, knowledge which is not concerned with this material world, then we should learn this knowledge from pure devotees. And how is it that the pure devotees are able to teach us? Is because they're authorized. They're authorized by the Supreme Lord to preach this knowledge, to understand this knowledge. For example, we have so many post boxes. So we know if we put a letter in one of those post boxes, which is authorized by the government, then the person we are sending the letter to will surely receive the letter. But if I just take any box and I paint it to look like the post box, but it's not authorized. No postman will come and pick up the letter, so my letter will remain there. So that's the reason. Always we have to hear from the parampara, because the devotees who are coming in the parampara, they're authorized to preach this knowledge. They can take us to Krishna. Is that okay? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes.
Okay. While present on this earth, the Lord executed many common activities, even traveling in space to bring down the Parijat from heaven and recovering the son of his teacher, Sandipani Muni, from the regions of death. Uddhav was certainly informed of the conditions of life on other planets, and all the sages were anxious to know of them, just as we are anxious to know about the planets in space. Uddhav was particularly deputed to carry a message to Badrikashram, not only to the sages of that place of pilgrimage, but also to the Nar-Narayana deities. Such a message must have been more confidential than the knowledge described in the pages of the Vedas. So Krishna, he brought his teacher's dead son back to life. His teacher's son was dead for a long, long time, but he brought him back. But Krishna can do that. His death personified himself, so why he can't do it? He was traveling everywhere. When he was there, then he went to Indra's kingdom, and Satyabhama wanted the Parijat flower, so he got the full tree. It's a heavenly tree. You don't see that on the earth, but Krishna brought it. So Krishna can do everything. And then here it said that Uddhav was sent for a special message for the sages of Badrikashram and all others, and also to the Nar-Narayana deities. The Nar-Narayana deities are there in Badrikashram. The Lord is undoubtedly the source of all knowledge, and the messages dispatched through Uddhav to Nar-Narayan and other sages were also part of the Vedic knowledge, but they were more confidential and could be sent or understood only through such a pure devotee as Uddhav. Since such confidential...
So the Nar and Narayan are the same that we have mentioned as the incarnation of Arjun and Krishna, right?
That's right.
They are the same Nar Narayan.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Since such confidential knowledge was known only to the Lord and Uddhav, it is said that Uddhav was as good as the Lord himself. Now, what does it mean to say that Uddhav was as good as the Lord himself? It's not that he becomes God. He doesn't become, nobody can ever become God. We have to give up that fantasy that we will one day become God. So here it is said that Uddhav was as good as the Lord himself because Krishna gave him this particular knowledge, this confidential knowledge. And he told him, okay, you go speak this knowledge. So same as suppose the president of India, he gives the certain power to the ambassador, Indian ambassador in different country. So at that time, it's not that the ambassador of India in that country becomes the president of India. No, but while he's in that foreign country, he has that power invested in him by the president. So every living entity can, like Uddhav, also become a confidential messenger on the same level as the Lord, provided he becomes confidential himself by dint of loving devotional service. So if we want that Krishna also uses us as his instrument to give this pure knowledge to others, or to do his, so that Krishna can use us as his confidential messenger, then what do we have to do? We have to engage in bhakti, in devotional service, which is loving devotional service. And that begins by hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. Hear the message of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, hear the Maha Mantra, chant the Maha Mantra. And so the instruction given by Lord Caitanya to everyone is, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. And he's engaging each of us in his service. He's saying, Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. Such confidential knowledge is entrusted, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only to pure devotees like Uddhav and Arjun, and one has to learn the mystery through them and not otherwise. One cannot understand Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam without the help of such confidential devotees of the Lord. So we cannot think that we are just going to be able to learn anything by ourselves. It is only by the mercy of the pure devotees that we are able to get into the mystery of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And here, for example, we are hearing from Srila Prabhupada. He took great pains to give us the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He's a pure devotee coming in the disciplic succession, and we are learning from him. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that confidential message must have concerned the mystery of his departure and the annihilation of his dynasty after the end of his appearance in the mundane world for 100 years. Everyone must have been very anxious to know about the mystery of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. And that message must have been explained by the Lord to Uddhav and dispatched to Badrikashram for the information of Nar-Narayan and other pure devotees of the Lord. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Krishna must have wanted to explain and give this message to Nar-Narayan deities about his departure from this world and departure of the Yadu dynasty. So text 33. Viduro api udva shrutva krishnasya paramatmanaha kridayopata dehasya karmani slangitani cha. Vidur also heard from Uddhav about the appearance and disappearance of Lord Krishna, the super soul in the mortal world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. The subject matter of the appearance and disappearance of the super soul, Lord Sri Krishna, is a mystery even for the great sages. The word Paramatmanaha is significant in this verse. An ordinary living being is generally called the Atma, but Lord Krishna is never an ordinary living being because he is Paramatma, the super soul. So we are Atmas. We are Atma and Krishna is Paramatma. He is the greatest super soul. We are soul, Atma, he is super soul. We are Anu, very tiny, and he is Vibhu, the master. So there is a difference. Although we are the same quality, we are same. But quantity is very, very different. Yet his appearance as one of the human beings and his disappearance again from the mortal world are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. So when we say quality is the same, so because we have a material body, we cannot say, oh, Krishna has a material body. No, when we say quality is the same, we have to understand first that we are not this body. We are not matter. We are the spirit soul. Yeah. Then we are the spirit soul, and then our size is 1/10,000, the tip of a hair, whereas Krishna's size is unlimited. But the quality of the soul and quality of Krishna is the same, but the quantity is different. So in that way, because if we identify ourselves with the body, oh, I'm the body and Krishna is same like me, so Krishna also has a material body. No. We have to understand that we are not this body. We are the spirit soul. We are inside this body. Yeah, so I hope that helps. So, yet his appearance as one of the human beings and his disappearance again from the mortal world are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. Such subject matters are certainly of increasing interest because the researchers have to search out the transcendental abode of the Lord, which he enters after finishing his pastimes in the mortal world. So then we can ask, oh, where did Krishna go? If he left this world and he is eternally existing, then where did he go? Where does he stay? Automatically that question will come in someone's mind. But even the great sages have no information that beyond the material sky is the spiritual sky, where Sri Krishna eternally resides with his associates, although at the same time he exhibits his pastimes in the mortal world, in all the universes, one after another. So Krishna, he eternally lives in Golok Vrindavan. He lives there with his eternal associates. And we can go there. He came to give us an open invitation 500 years ago. When he came as Lord Caitanya, he came to give us this holy name, which is coming from Golok Vrindavan. And he said, we can also go. It just depends whether we want to go or no to the Golok Vrindavan. And over there, what is there? Every song, every step is a dance. Every word is a song. There is no anxiety, and it's happiness and bliss at every time. It's festival after another. Every day is a festival. This fact is confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5.37. Goloka eva nivasti akhilatma bhutaha. The Lord, by his inconceivable potency, resides in his eternal abode Goloka, yet at the same time, as the Supersoul, he is present everywhere, in both the spiritual and material skies, by his multi-varieties of manifestation. So if Krishna is in Golok Vrindavan, does it mean that he's not everywhere? No, he is. He's omnipresent. He's here in this material world as the Supersoul. He enters as Paramatma in each and every atom of the universe, into the heart of every living entity. And then he's there in so many different Vaikuntha planets also in the spiritual world. Therefore, his appearance and disappearance are simultaneously going on. And no one can say definitely which of them is the beginning and which is the end. His eternal pastimes have no beginning or end. And one has to learn of them from the pure devotee only, and not waste valuable time in so-called research work. So if we want to understand the really truth, the fact, what is the truth? Who am I? If we really want to have self-realization, then we should learn from a pure devotee, because the realization of the self and realization of Krishna is interconnected. Why? Because we are part of Krishna. And so, for example, if we are in school and we say, no, I'm not going to listen to my teacher. Why should I learn ABC? I'm going to, or any of the language which exists, I'm going to try to research. Maybe there is another thing. That's just a waste of time. No? So we just follow the teachers, and then the path is already laid out by them. We just have to follow them. And for sure, we will reach back home, back to Godhead with Krishna. And no need to come back to this material world. So that's a guarantee. That's a guarantee given by Krishna. Any questions or comments? No?
You mentioned in this that when we read ourselves, and it is more important to hear from a devotee, right? And I totally agree on that. Sometimes when we read ourselves, those things are unclear because maybe we don't have that much knowledge. that what does it actually means. And when you make us understand, then things get very, very clear.
Yeah, and here in the context was given that because when we are reading from Srila Prabhupada's books, we are hearing directly from Srila Prabhupada actually. You know, we are directly hearing from them. But of course, our understanding becomes clearer when we hear in the lectures, in the classes. So understanding becomes clearer. But here the example was given that if we don't follow any authority and we just make up some knowledge by our own self, you know, then we're totally lost. We don't know where we are going.
Oh, so that's what they meant here by
Yeah.
that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
from
actually we are already reading a work of a very, very pure devotee, Srila
Exactly.
Prabhupada. So
Yeah.
we need, we should be able to understand because he's a pure soul.
Yeah, so the direction is there. He's giving us the direction. We are hearing from him directly by reading his books.
These are so small things, but I think they're really, really important. Like how we misinterpret such a small thing, but with the guidance we clarify. And I think this is very important. Otherwise, we are going to tell the other person the same thing, the wrong thing. We are going to pass on the wrong message. If we're not understanding ourselves,
yeah,
we are going to give the wrong message to others also.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so, for example, Prabhupada's books also, we have to hear from the other devotees who understood what Prabhupada was saying, who understood Prabhupada's mission, you know. So, as you said, just by reading ourselves is not enough. The books are written by Prabhupada. He's given it to us. And he said, everything is in my books. But we also have to hear from the devotees who understand Prabhupada's, what Prabhupada is saying. And so that's why it's important to hear in the lectures then. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we can stop here for today if there are no other questions or comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Prabhupada ki jai, Lord of Hari Hari
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari. Thank you so much for joining.